Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 138 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Now, go and check out the new book that we released a few weeks ago. It's called From Letters to Leaders, Creating Impact on Your College Campus and Beyond. We are so blessed for the support of all of our listeners. You can pick that up on Amazon. You can get it on your Kindle, super affordable. It'll be the best $2.99 you've ever spent, I promise. Now, today we have with us an incredible guest. I'm so excited to speak to her. This is Dr. Michelle May. Her passion for vibrant living and mindful eating stems from her 20-plus year struggle with food and body image. Despite earning a medical degree, completing a family medicine residency, and sustaining a busy medical practice and family, she continued to waste time, money, and energy on what we call yo-yo dieting. Dr. May discovered that many of her patients were struggling too, and that the conventional approach to health doesn't lead to any kind of lasting change. So now, as a motivational wellness speaker and a certified speaking professional, her interactive virtual and in-person keynotes and workshops deliver paradigm-shifting yet practical strategies to promote a healthier, vibrant, productive workplace and community. What I love is that she brings her personal and professional insights, her humor, her authenticity to the stage to offer a compelling, constructive, and sustainable path to optimal well-being. Dr. May also created Am I Hungry?, a mindful eating program and training in 1999 to change the way that the world thinks about eating. I can't wait to jump into this. Welcome to the show, Dr. Michelle May.
Thank you, Michael. And by the way, I'm going to get on Kindle and buy my book as soon as we're done talking.
I appreciate that. I think it's a great tool for college students. It's the kind of book that didn't exist before we wrote it. And it's something that I wish that I had coming into college, just to kind of get some idea about some of the problems that are happening on college campuses, some possible solutions, and just food for thought in terms of things that I need to be thinking about over the next 4 years on my college campus. I wish that it existed when I was a college student. It didn't, so we made it.
Me too.
I appreciate that so much. So I want to make sure that our listeners know a little bit of background about you. You decided on Arizona State University for your undergraduate experience. So I was wondering, why was Arizona State the right choice for you?
I lived in Phoenix. I'm one of the few residents of lifetime residents, native Arizonans, and both of my parents went to ASU. So it was an easy choice.
I gotcha. That makes it very, very easy, I'm sure. And you joined Chi Omega at ASU. You also served as chapter president, which is always an interesting experience for all of us in the family of chapter presidents. So what was special about the sisters at Chi O?
I think Chi Omega is an amazing fraternity anyway, and I think it's different at different campuses. Back then, for me, it was really important. I was a pre-med student, had a heavy class load, working really hard to get good grades. And so it provided a wonderful social connection for me, an opportunity to do philanthropic activities and social activities that I might have missed out on otherwise. I may have gotten to the end of my 4 years and had a degree, but not an experience.
I totally agree with you. I think that commitment to philanthropy, just all of the leadership experience, all of the communications that are going on back and forth that you're really kind of honing in on, motivating other students. As chapter president, there are going to be some lazy members of your organization. The question is, how do we motivate them to help us in our mission? And I don't think that goes away when you get out in the real world, right?
No, you're right. I mean, I think about how many leadership opportunities I've had since then, and it really stemmed from that experience and taking what I learned during that presidency to other presidencies and other boards and other, even leadership in my own family and my own business.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I am totally with you on that. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about food, because your unhealthy relationship with food was what you call your dirty secret through high school and also through college. So tell us about that unhealthy relationship that you had.
Well, unfortunately, I wish it was uncommon, but I think it is so common that it's actually become viewed as normal. And that is this habit of looking at food as being bad. Certain foods are bad and you shouldn't eat them, and other foods are good and that's all you should eat. And it creates this unhealthy love hate relationship with food, where when you're eating what's good for your body, you're feeling deprived, but when you're eating what you really want to eat, you feel guilty. And so either way, you're not in a place of balance with your food and your eating. For me, that took on disordered eating qualities, a lot of yo-yo dieting. It's the kind of thing that I see now. I teach at ASU. I teach mindful eating at ASU, as you know,
Mhm.
and I see this in my students all the time. They tell me that this is pretty much what they experience among their friends and peers as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You're obviously a former family physician. You've had 16 years of clinical experience. Now I think you're the voice of reason in what I think is a diet crazed, weight obsessed world. I mean, just look at Instagram, look at social media, look at the advertisements that are bombarding today's college students. And you teach mindful eating at Arizona State. So explain to our audience, what is mindful eating?
My favorite definition of mindful eating is eating with intention and attention. That's purpose and awareness. And it might sound overly simple, but it's revolutionary because it's an inside out way to make decisions about eating. Instead of looking things up and writing things down, you literally are checking in with yourself. I want to eat. Am I actually even hungry? Or is this desire to eat coming from boredom or stress or because everybody else is eating? Once you have that awareness, once you have that clear signal that says, yes, I have physical symptoms of food, physical symptoms of hunger, then you choose food. If there aren't any physical symptoms, now you have an opportunity to try to understand what your body is actually trying to tell you that you need: rest, water, maybe connection or conversation, maybe a break from studying. So we actually have the ability to meet our needs even better when we stop using restrictive measures of deciding what we're allowed to eat.
That makes a lot of sense to me. We should also talk about your books. You're the award winning author of numerous mindful eating publications, including 5 books, 3 workbooks, 6 training manuals. And your book series, Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat, utilizes this innovative and practical mindful eating cycle model to add structure to these life changing concepts that you're talking about. So, explain to us, what is this particular eating cycle model that you talk about?
Yeah, so the idea of mindful eating sounds a little woo woo or loose,
Mhm.
but the mindful eating cycle gives us some structure. So it's basically 6 decision points. Why do I eat? When do I want to eat? What do I eat? How do I eat it? How much do I eat? And then where do I spend the energy that I've consumed? So it really encompasses the entire decision making process around food. And in fact, no matter what struggle someone is having with food at any given time, I can put it into one or more of those questions to try to unravel what's really going on behind the scenes. Most people think it's about the food and that they just need to get some self control. But in actuality, it's really about conscious decision making.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating. Getting back to student organizations and Chi Omega, I always view Chi Omega as a very vibrant organization. It consists of vibrant individuals who are confident in their ability to be more responsive and less reactive. So, as a result, these types of organizations, in your mind, they are very flexible, they are curious, they are calm and resilient, which I think are all amazing qualities. I want all student organizations to fall into those buckets of flexible, curious, calm, and resilient. So I'm wondering, how do we get all of our fraternity and sorority chapters all over North America to be more responsive and less reactive?
Yeah, such a great question. And I wish there was a really simple, easy answer. But in actuality, the concept is very simple. The application is not always so easy. So here's the idea. When we are mindless or on autopilot, when we're not paying attention, when we're just going through the motions, doing what we always did, then our brain has no choice but to react. In other words, it has no choice but to react out the past. When we're not present and making conscious decisions, our brain will do what it already knows how to do. So the key here is to simply pause, become present in that moment, engage your frontal lobe so you can actually make a decision that is responsive. It gives you the ability to respond to what's happening both around you but also within you. This is response ability, and that's what mindfulness does for you. So the simplest tool you can use is to pause and just check in with yourself, notice what's happening instead of doing what you always did without thinking.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Unfortunately, the frontal lobe isn't fully developed until 25. So when
That's
we're
right.
talking about college students, it's just not even fully developed, right?
That's right. That's right. And that's one of the reasons that it's so important to begin to implement these skills at this age in life. Because if you wait until you're my age, your age, then you've spent many, many years in reactive mode instead of learning how to respond. So we can train the brain to pause. We can implement things in our day to day life that help us with this. But of course, if we don't even know that this is a possibility, then we'll do what we already know how to do.
Yeah. I hope that I get that ability to pause every single time because I think I'll
Well,
make
the
better
nice thing about
decisions.
mindfulness, as you said, it's about curiosity. And so when you don't do it, you can be curious about why you didn't. Judgment doesn't help. It's much more helpful to go, that's interesting. My intention was to be more mindful and present and to pause, but I didn't. How come? What was going on that led me away from that intention?
Right. I love it. That's really great. And one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at college student organizations is that, and it's a disturbing trend, really, when we look at the number of suicides that are happening on college campuses, that's increasing. The number of mental health issues, that is also something that I'm seeing more frequency of. So you also believe that when people think of health, most people think about physical health. However, optimal health includes the well being of your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit. So, what are some strategies that we can use to enhance the well being of college students, our fraternity brothers, our sorority sisters?
Well, you're exactly right. It's much more than just physical health. I think when people, college students and all adults think of health, they think about eating better and exercising. And those are important, as is sleep and other self-care activities, but it's broader than that. And you cannot make up for lack in one area, spiritual, emotional, intellectual, by over focusing on other areas. So, for example, as college students, naturally, you have to be focusing on your intellectual development, but it's also important to take care of your emotional well being. For example, in my mindful eating classes that I teach at ASU, and by the way, I teach other faculty members how to run these classes if they're interested. I run every week, every module, the students have an assignment to do a self care activity. And they get to choose what it is, but it might be attending a yoga class, or it might be walking with a neighbor, or it might be going to counseling, or drawing, or doing some other creative activity. And so I think students get in the mindset that those are things that they will have time to do later. But you and I know, Michael, life doesn't get less busy after college, it gets more busy. And so giving people permission and the ability to prioritize self care and carving out time every day to do something that's for pleasure, for relaxation, for connection, whatever that is for you. I don't have a prescription for this, but what I know is that when I take time to go hiking, for example, or spend time with my family and friends, I'm a better person overall. I'm more productive. I'm more balanced. I'm nicer to be around. I sleep better. I feel better. It all works better. So the time to start practicing this balanced lifestyle for optimal well being is right now. in the life that you have today.
I'm sure you're always nice to be around, so I'm not too worried about
Yeah. And then when
that.
I'm not, then I get curious about why not.
Yeah.
Okay, am I sleeping as well as I should be? Am I getting the exercise that I feel best at? This kind of thing, that it gives me the opportunity to check in and say something's out of balance. What
Mm.
do I need to do to correct this? It's not about perfection, it's about direction.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And for all the college students that are listening here right now, I think the temptation in life is always that, life will get easier and I can do the things that I want to do when this happens. So we say, okay, when, we get to high school, then things are going to be easier and I'm going to, eat better and I'm going to be hiking. And then maybe when I get to college, I'll be out on my own so I can do what I want when I want. And then when I get my first job, then I can do all the things that I wanted to do. And I think what you're saying here is do it now. I mean, if you
Yes.
need that time, do it now. Don't wait until later because who knows, later might never come.
That's right. I call it the when then trap,
Yeah.
and you described it perfectly. But the truth of the matter is that our lives are a bunch of nows strung together a moment at a time. And so when we're focused on the future, we're missing out on our actual lives. And when we get to the future, we start focusing on the future after that. And
Mm.
so day by day, week by week, month by month, our lives slip away without actually ever fully being there.
Mm.
This is what mindfulness is about. It's about dropping into the present moment where I have complete ability to decide how I'm going to respond. If I'm always focused on the future, then I'm giving away my life.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Now, Dr. May, I have a couple of kids. I have a daughter who is a freshman in high school. I have a son who is a sophomore in high school, and they're very intellectual. Okay, they have the gift of very good brains. Okay, they're incredibly smart. They do great in school, but in terms of physical activity, I mean, there's really nothing on the radar. Like, it's just not a part of who they are. They're very creative. They're very intellectual, but the physical activity stuff I just don't see. And for me it's strange because as a Gen X person, I was out riding my bike all day long and my parents had no idea where I wasn't wearing a helmet, and I just knew that it was time to come home because the lights in the streets went on.
Right.
And so physical activity was every single day. And I bought a house that had a big yard because in my mind I'm envisioning that they're going to be outside engaging in physical activity on a regular basis. So it's up to me to provide that space. Now, guess what? I'm the only one who looks at the yard and I got to mow it every week, right? So the
Well, you're
question
getting your movement, right?
is, yeah, my movement has stayed constant, which is great.
Yeah.
So I'm working out, I'm outside working on the lawn and planting flowers and vegetables and everything else. But how do we add physical activity to our life, even if it's not currently a part of our life?
It's a great question. And you could have described my two kids who are actually now adults. But I think that everybody has their own level of natural affinity for certain kinds of things. I do love that you're using the words physical activity rather than exercise,
Mhm.
because the formal E word can be a demotivator for some people. Now, my daughter, my youngest, when she was in high school, you would never find her going to a gym, but she joined the marching band and she was never in such good shape as they were because of their regular practices and activities. My son was a gamer, actually became a video game producer with his master's degree. And now, even though that wasn't something he really enjoyed, now he works out regularly. He makes a lot of effort to get out and hike or walk or lift weights. So I think as parents, we have to create the opportunity as you have. I really believe in creating family opportunities. So going out as a family, hiking or bike riding or swimming or doing some skiing or whatever it is for your family that engages them, everybody together, and then trust that they're seeing you as a role model. And when they get to the point that they are starting to experience what it feels like to not move your body regularly, then hopefully they'll pick up on the cues that you gave them all along.
Yeah, your family sounds just like my family. My son is a gamer and he sits in front of the TV and he's just gaming all day long. And I think it will build to a really cool career. Now he's starting to get into coding and all these really lucrative fields and careers that are opening up in that direction. But that physical
I saw
activity.
a segment on TV, maybe you saw it too, that a lot of the competitive gamers are actually doing physical training. The amount of focus and energy it takes to be really excellent at their craft,
Mhm.
they're finding that they actually do better if they physically train like other athletes. So who knows? Maybe that's the ticket.
I hope so. I really do. I hope he gets into physical activity. Maybe it's later in life he gets more of an appreciation, but I like
Mm,
your suggestion on going biking together as a family because
mhm.
I do think that when I lead the way and I show them what it is that I expect and what I want, I think they're more likely to go along with it. And so even if that's just, once a week, then maybe that sets the stage.
Well, and I'm all about that family time. So it
Yeah.
creates an opportunity, a natural opportunity for conversation and connection. I don't know. I always found that with my son, if we were walking side by side, our conversations were much deeper than when we were looking eye to eye. It just, for whatever reason, it just made it more comfortable to talk about things that we might otherwise have difficulty with.
That's so interesting. I never really thought about it, but I think you're right. For whatever reason, if that's what works and it
Yeah,
creates the connection, then I'm all for it, right? I mean, that's really what's
exactly.
important today. All right, this has been really a lot of fun. And so, I get to Phoenix quite often. I speak out there at some of the various universities that are there in town. So the next time I'm in town in Phoenix, what restaurant, because, you're all about good food, what's your favorite in town?
Oh, this was a gimme. This is an easy one because my parents, my dad and my stepmother own three Mexican restaurants, and they have for more than 35 years, called Valle Luna, VALLELUNA. There are several of them across Phoenix area. Now, the only thing, Michael, is that if you email me and we go together, I might even be able to get you a free margarita.
Oh, yes. Now you're talking my language. That is wonderful. Well, I didn't know that this question was going to be such a layup for you.
I know, I know. Here you go.
That's a great suggestion. I'm definitely going to check it out. I miss really good Mexican restaurants. In Nashville, we've got great barbecue and we've got some great other things, but,
Hey,
really good.
when I was there a couple years ago, I haven't stopped craving Nashville hot chicken. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to figure that one out.
Good luck. You're not going to find a really good Nashville hot chicken outside of Nashville. So we have good things, but then I miss other things that like I get in New York, bagels and, pizza and other things that I do enjoy from time to time that I just can't get in Nashville. It just
That's
doesn't
right.
exist. But, that's part of the trade-off. So I'll definitely check out those restaurants there next time I'm in Phoenix. All right. So our listeners, if they have questions for you, if they want to bring you in to speak on their campus, where is the best place for them to go and to connect with
I think the easiest place is my speaking website, which is michellemaymd.com. Let me spell that just to
you?
be
Sure.
sure. MICHELLEMAYMD.com. There is information about speaking, but there's also a contact form there, which I welcome you to use, and that'll come directly to me. And we can get on a phone or Zoom call and chat about what you need.
That sounds wonderful. And Dr. May, I'll put in the show notes that link that you sent me so that way our listeners can get a free goodie on your website as well. So I'll include that in the show notes in case they're interested in getting some more
Oh, the
information.
chapter,
Yeah.
the free chapter to eat what you love what you eat for students, because one of the
Yes.
books is specifically for students. I use it as the textbook in my class. So I think that would be a great gift. It explains the mindful eating cycle,
Mhm.
those 6 decision points we talked about. It'll walk you right through those questions.
This sounds absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for being here. As you know, I mean, healthy eating and nutrition is such an important thing. And in college, it's just so easy to get off track. I know I certainly was off track for a little while going to school at the University at Buffalo. For me, I mean, buffalo wings were just so delicious there. And it was hard. It was really hard. I mean, I remember being in my freshman room dorm and just smelling from the kitchen all of these like buffalo chicken hoagies and all of this stuff. And it was just magical. And it would literally pull me out of the room to go and to eat. And, so for me, this is just great information. And
Well, the good news, Michael, is that mindful eating isn't about not eating buffalo chicken wings. I mean, mindful eating is really about conscious decision making, and for certain times and when it seems like the right thing for you, buffalo chicken wings are the right answer. So it's one of the things I loved about it, and it's really one of the things that helped me heal my relationship with food. So I encourage you to think about it, well, am I hungry? And if not, why do I want to eat this? And if it's just because it's delicious, then sit down and eat it with enjoyment and don't ruin it by sprinkling it with guilt, for heaven's sakes.
That's really well said. Thank you so much for your time. And to all of our listeners, if you enjoyed this interview with Dr. Michelle May, please like it. Please share it with other students on campus, because more students need to hear her words and check out her book as well. So thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you on another episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.